The first aim of Vatican Radio is to bring the voice itself of the Pope to all parts in the world, and especially to these countries where it is more difficult to listen to the Pope's voice.
Father Pasquale Borgomeo, controller of programs at Vatican Radio. The radio began in 1931 and is closely associated with the birth of broadcasting. The inventor of radio, Marconi, a close friend of Pope Pius XI, took great pride in putting this new technological miracle at the service of the Pope and the Church. Vatican Radio has been on the air ever since. Peter Hebblethwaite, well-known Roman-based journalist, points out the radio's value.
Well, I think it's difficult to generalize about Vatican Radio, given the number of languages in which it goes out, and one doesn't really know on all levels. But certainly it has immense usefulness in countries where radio is still very important, by which I mean the whole of Africa, and certainly Eastern Europe, and particularly Poland, obviously. Vatican Radio is a chief source of news, not just about church events, but about everything.
Laudetur Jesus Christus. Jesus Christoは称えられますように.
Like the Church itself, the staff of Vatican Radio includes men and women drawn from every part of the world. Faces from all 6 continents concentrate on turntables and studio signals. Soutans and saris mingle in a large enterprise which ranges from devotional talks to well-produced cultural programs, transmitted from the studios to far-flung foreign communities across the globe. However, Vatican Radio's domestic Italian offerings may not be its strongest suit.
In its Italian news bulletins, it does seem to me to be a little sycophantic. I mean, there was a time when the Pope went to visit a shrine in the Dolomites, and there was a long description of the ski kit in which he was, which was, of course, white in color with red edges. And the excited commentator said, and thus John Paul II becomes the first Pope to recite the Angelus above the height of 10,000 feet. Now, this kind of thing seems to me to be a bit excessive.
暑い夏の最中、皆さんいかがお過ごしでしょうか?
Vatican Radio's shortwave is its most interesting feature. Its first-class technical equipment allows it to speak clearly to the furthest places in Africa and Asia. Twice daily, for example, it broadcasts half-hour programs as well as Sunday Mass to mainland China. This gives it access to Catholics and others in a vast society which has had virtually no other contact with Rome for the past 33 years.
It's very paradoxical because national church in China celebrates Mass in Latin, still in Latin. We, from Rome, we broadcast a Mass in Chinese.
Vatican Radio's headquarters are, appropriately enough, on the Vatican Hill, a few hundred yards behind St. Peter's. Its main studios are about half a mile away, not far from St. Peter's Square. Its powerful transmitter is situated some 20 miles outside Rome. Many of the radio staff are full-time professionals, particularly on the engineering side. But many part-timers are also employed, usually priests and nuns working or studying in Rome, and willing to help with broadcasts in Samoan or Indonesian or Tagalog or one or other of the 33 languages used by Vatican Radio each week.
Pronto? Io.
The station's technical strength puts it in the top rank of international broadcasting systems like the Voice of America or the BBC World Service. It can come through as loud and clear in Vladivostok as in downtown Rome. Father Roberto Tucci is Director General of Vatican Radio.
Now we have a 500 kilowatts short wave, so we can reach very well distant countries like mainland China or South Africa or Latin America. But we have only one, and other stations operating on external services. Sometimes they have 5, they have 6, they have 10, 12 of them. And then, of course, the quality of the broadcasting operation. I mean, we are not able always to find people who are really professionally trained because we use many languages, and for some of those languages it's very difficult to find on the market here in Rome people really prepared. So we have to prepare them, to train them. It takes time, and in mid-time the program will not be so excellent as could be. I mean, that's a big problem.
The radio staff of some 250 people from all the continents include many highly motivated lay people who are content to work for modest salaries. Nevertheless, finance is a bigger problem for Vatican Radio than for secular stations, which have income from license fees or advertising.
I discovered times ago last year that when they wanted to cut down the budget of the external services of the BBC, we were spending 20 times less than the BBC. Now, the BBC certainly broadcasts more than 700 hours per week. We are more or less broadcasting 230, so it's just a third. And we use 33 languages, and they use 39, if I'm not wrong. So, well, you can see the proportion. We are not spending very much. I think we are doing things, I mean, in the most, economic way possible.